Hey there, welcome back to our LittleHorse tutorial series. This is Sohini and today we're going to take an exciting step forward running a workflow. This tutorial assumes that you have completed the tutorials from the previous two videos. If you haven't, you can find them attached to the description below. First, let's make sure our LittleHorse server is up and running. I'm creating a new folder here for our workflow. Let's check if we have any existing workflow specifications. This step ensures we're starting with a clean slate. To run a LittleHorse workflow, you first need to define your task definitions and then a workflow specification. In our case, we've defined the task definitions in the last video. Let's verify it here and we should see our agreed task listed. Today, we're going to use the Java SDK to define a WF spec that uses that task definition. Let's write our workflow. I'm creating a new file named quickstartworkflow.java. This class will define our workflow named quickstart and include our agreed task. This class is key in defining the flow of tasks within our LittleHorse application. First, we declare our class. Inside, we have two constants WFName, which is the name of our workflow, and greet, the name of our task matching what we defined in the greeter class. Here's where it gets interesting. We're defining a method, quickstartWF, that takes this as a parameter. This method will outline the steps of our workflow. Inside our method, we start by creating an input variable. This variable named inputName will be used to pass data to our task. We're using this method and specifying the type as a string. Finally, we're executing our task using this method. This tells our workflow to run the greet task with the name variable as input. Here, the getWorkflow method encapsulates the workflow logic defined in the quickstartWF method into a workflow object. This object is what LittleHorse uses to understand and execute the workflow. When the getWorkflow method is called, it effectively packages our custom workflow logic so that it can be registered and managed by the LittleHorse server. In our app.java, we would call this method to get the workflow object and then use LittleHorse's functionality to register this workflow, making it available for execution. With our workflow defined, it's time to integrate it into our application. We'll be updating app.java to include our new workflow and register it. First, we add a new method, registerWorkflow. This method's job is to register our newly defined workflow with the LittleHorse server. Notice how we're creating a new instance of quickstartWorkflow and calling this. This registers our workflow specification. In our main method, we need to handle the logic for when to call registerWorkflow. We're using command line arguments for this. If the argument is register, we call our new method. This conditional logic checks the argument and decides whether to register the workflow or start the worker. With our code in place, it's time to register the workflow. This command compiles and runs our application, triggering the workflow registration. Let's confirm our workflow registration was successful. This command shows the details of our newly registered Quickstart workflow. In another terminal, I'm starting the worker. This is crucial for the execution of our tasks within the workflow. Now, let's run our workflow. We're setting input name to OB1 for our creating task. This command starts the workflow process. Finally, let's monitor our workflow. I'm checking the status here to confirm if it's completed. And that's how you run a workflow in LittleHorse. We've gone from checking the server status to successfully executing and monitoring a workflow. Stay tuned for more tutorials where we'll explore advanced features of LittleHorse. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more tutorials. If you have any questions or comments, leave them below. Happy coding!